Hello, and welcome to the One-of-a-Kind Financial Show Daily. I'm Mike Milligan. It's Wednesday, June 17th, Fed Day. At 2 p.m. Eastern, 12 people in a room in Washington, D.C. are going to make a decision that touches your mortgage, your retirement account, your car loan, and the price of milk. Today, we educate. What is the FOMC? Why is Kevin Warsh suddenly the most powerful economist on earth? And what should you be listening for at 2:30 p.m.? Let's go.
Be one of a kind with Mike's plan.
Let's start with the basics because most people hear the Fed and the FOMC used interchangeably, and they are not the same thing. The FOMC, the Federal Open Market Committee, is the monetary policy arm of the Federal Reserve System. It's 12 voting members, 8 meetings a year, and they have one job: decide what to do with the federal funds rate, the short-term interest rate that ripples through every loan, every deposit, and every mortgage in America. Here's how the 12 seats break down. 7 governors of the Federal Reserve Board, including the chair. They're nominated by the president, confirmed by the Senate, and they serve 14-year terms, deliberately longer than any president, so they're insulated from politics. The president of the New York Fed, that's John Williams currently, who always has a vote because the New York Fed actually executes the trades. There's 4 regional reserve bank presidents who rotate in for 1-year voting terms. In 2026, the votes are Beth Hammack of Cleveland, Anna Paulson of Philadelphia, Lori Logan of Dallas, and Neil Kashkari of Minneapolis. The Wall Street Journal characterized this year's rotation as 3 hawks and a dove, meaning 3 of the 4 are inclined to keep rates higher to fight inflation, and only 1 leans toward cuts. That matters a lot today. Now, the man at the top of the table, Kevin Warsh, 56 years old, sworn in as the 17th chair of the Federal Reserve on May 22nd of this year. A little background: he's a Stanford undergrad, Harvard Law, started at Morgan Stanley in mergers and acquisitions. He joined the George W. Bush White House, and then, as this is the part you need to know, Bush appointed him to the Federal Board of Governors in 2006 at just 35 years old, the youngest in history. He was the Fed's liaison to Wall Street during the 2008 financial crisis. He was in the room for the Bear Stearns sale to J.P. Morgan, the Lehman Brothers bankruptcy, and the AIG bailout. This is the financial equivalent of being a battlefield commander at Normandy. So why is he so powerful in this seat? 3 reasons. 1, the chair runs the agenda. The chair decides what the FOMC discusses, in what order, and how the final vote is framed. Alan Greenspan was rumored to occasionally vote a certain way just to avoid a tie because the chair votes last and casts the tiebreaker. Number 2, the chair is the voice. The statement, the dot plot, the press conference, those move global markets in seconds. 1 sentence, 1 phrase, 1 eyebrow from the Fed chair can add or wipe out hundreds of billions of dollars in market value. Trillions of dollars in global debt are priced off of what this man says. And number 3, Warsh has unique credibility on inflation. He publicly opposed quantitative easing in 2010 and 2011 and resigned in protest. So when he says he's worried about inflation, the market believes him in a way it hasn't believed any chair in 15 years. Today is also his first meeting as chair. First statement, first dot plot, first press conference. Wall Street has been studying his every word for clues, and we're about to find out together what kind of Fed chair he's going to be.
Be one of a kind with Mike's plan.
So here are 4 takeaways every trader, every economist, and every certified financial planner in America is watching today. Number 1, the rate decision itself. It'll come at 2 p.m. Eastern. Consensus is no change. Fed funds stay in the 3.5 to 3.75 range. 97.4% probability on the CME Fed Watch. If they surprise and cut, stocks rip and the dollar drops. If they surprise and hike, and 1 or 2 committee members have hinted at it, we get an instant sell-off in the market. Number 2, the statement language, also at 2 p.m., specifically the easing bias. Right now, the statement implies the next move is down. 88% of CNBC Fed survey expects Warsh to strip that language out today. If he does, that's hawkish. If he leaves it in, it's surprisingly dovish, and the market rallies. And number 3, the summary of economic predictions in the dot plot, also at 2 p.m. today. This is the quarterly chart that shows where each of the 19 FOMC participants think rates should be at the end of 2026, 2027, 2028, and the long run. In March, the median dot showed one 25 basis point cut in 2026. Continuum Economics expects today's medium to shift to 0 cuts in 2026, with a hawkish skew, meaning more dots showing a hike than a cut. This would be a major repricing. And then there's the press conference. It starts at 2:30 Eastern. This is the showcase. Reporters get to ask Warsh anything. Watch for 3 things specifically. How he describes inflation. Is it elevated or increasingly elevated? Does he acknowledge that the Iran peace deal and falling oil prices change the inflation picture? Does he protect Fed independence from political pressure? Because President Trump has been openly demanding rate cuts. One word, one phrase, one tone shift, and the Treasury market moves. Just yesterday, the S&P closed at 75.58, and by 3 p.m. today, that number could be 2% in either direction.
Be one of a kind with Mike's plan.
Finally today, what does this mean for our mission to educate? Here at the One of a Kind Financial Show Daily, I want you to hear this. We talk on this show about our mission to educate, coach, and plan. Today is the perfect example of why. Most Americans cannot tell you the difference between the Fed and the FOMC, cannot name a single FOMC member, cannot read a dot plot, cannot tell you what an easing bias is, and yet today 12 people they've never heard of will make a decision that determines whether their mortgage payment goes up, whether their CD renewal pays them more or less, whether their growth stocks rally or sell off, and whether their parents' bond portfolio keeps eroding from inflation. That's why we educate first, because a client who understands what's happening today doesn't panic in the afternoon when the headlines cross. A client who's been coached knows their financial plan was built to withstand both outcomes. And a client who has a written, one-of-a-kind financial plan never has to guess what Kevin Warsh's decision means for their retirement, because we already mapped it out. If you're listening today and you don't have a written financial plan, today is perfect proof of why you need one. The world will not stop creating moments of uncertainty. Your plan is what keeps you living through them. This has been Mike Milligan. Today is Wednesday, June 17th, and this has been the Wednesday edition of the One of a Kind Financial Show. Don't forget, 2 p.m. Eastern today, statement, dot plot, 2:30 Eastern, Warsh Talks the Podium. I'll be watching with you, and we'll unpack the whole thing tomorrow morning right here. My mission is to educate, coach, and plan. This has been Mike Milligan, investment advisor representative with Advisory Alpha LLC. Ideas by Mike, doing business as One Oak Financial, is an unaffiliated entity of Advisory Alpha LLC. This has been for education purposes only. Do not make investment decisions based off this podcast alone. Instead, consult a financial professional. If you lack one who doesn't have the capacity to help you with decisions or education like this, you can reach out to One Oak Financial at www.oakfinancial.com. You can also listen to our weekly radio show at oneoakradio.com. And as always, you can connect with me at either of those sites.